give St. John's credit. I thought I think they're a terrific team. They remind me a little bit of the Houston team that went to the Final Four a couple years ago. That was elite defensively and could really get you on the glass, and had certainly some good offensive players, but their defense, their physicality was. They remind me a lot of that Houston team, and I think this St. John's team can get to a Final Four. I really do. Obviously it's hard to get there, but they've got a really good team, and obviously got Rick leading the way. For us, I think it was good to see us make some shots. The turnovers in the first half were probably the story there in the first half. That was probably the biggest issue for us there in the first half. Did a really good job in the second half taking care of the ball and creating some three opportunities for us. And like I said, it was good for us to see us make 10 threes, but the turnovers in the first half were the biggest takeaway. So questions?
Chris, what's it like coaching against a coach with the resume of a Pitino? He's been very successful for a long time. So do you go back to just his time with St. John's when you're scouting him, or do you go to previous stops to see what he did?
Yeah, no, I mean, when you're coaching against a Hall of Famer, and I've been fortunate to coach against, some all-time greats, Coach K and Tom Izzo and, so many others, some legit Hall of Famers, Jay and many others. I think there's a real identity to their teams. There's a real identity to Rick's team, and obviously he probably felt like last year he was just creating that identity. It wasn't quite where it needed to be. I think this year he's got a group that probably fits his identity better. But he's a Hall of Famer for a reason, and he's elite at skill development. His kids play hard and physical, and I think he's got one of the most athletic groups I've coached against in recent years with their length and size. They're not huge at the 5, but they're big everywhere else, and their athleticism is elite.
No NJ or David tonight. I guess how you evaluate how this team was on the glass tonight?
We can be better. You've said the two disappointing things, turnovers, and I think we can be a little bit better on the glass. Certainly, not having those two guys hurts us. Again, I was really pleased with our ability to take care of the ball and create some opportunities in the second half, but we can be better on the glass.
I guess kind of going into this, so CJ had what looks like his first double-double tonight, and 4 of his rebounds were offensive, so especially against such a suffocating defense like you referenced St. John's hands. What do you think of his effort on the glass today as you've challenged him to become more of a rebounder?
He's really rebounded it well this year. I just think he's rushing some of his threes. He's taking some tough threes, and his turnovers were too much tonight. He can't have 6 turnovers at his spot. I was pleased with his rebounding, but his efficiency overall and his turnovers right now were he's got to be better than that in those situations.
Hi, Coach. You and Pitino have had really paralleling careers, coming from Big East play, Big Ten play, and now coaching at these private Catholic city schools. I'm just wondering, have you two ever traded notes on the road?
Well, in my spot, I've I coached against his son too when his son was at Minnesota. And I have coached against him a couple times, and I've reached out to him on a couple occasions to just try to learn from him. He sent me a really nice text after the first game, and actually called me after the first game. I think probably where he's at right now, he's as competitive as he's ever been, but he also feels like, I think guys in his position that are Hall of Famers and have accomplished what they've accomplished, I think they do see a responsibility to help the next generation. And I've been fortunate enough to learn from some of those guys and lean on them. And I wouldn't say I'm as close to him as I am to Tom or Jay or some of those other guys, but he's been really gracious with his time.
Coach, you guys trotted out some different looks defensively at a couple of times throughout the night, whether it was the 1-3-1, just sticking in man or whatever.
Yeah.
What did you like out of that in terms of the variety you threw at St. John's?
I think our zone has been really good for us at times. I worried a little bit about our rebounding tonight in the zone, but I think it was pretty good for us. I didn't have issue. We'll have to look at our DER efficiency rating on our zone possessions. They made a couple jumpers and a couple threes, and they drove it a few times on us. But naked eye watching it, I felt like our change of defenses was pretty effective.
Hey, Chris, two-parter. What was the gist of that text with Rick? And the other part is, when you look at St. John's, do you kind of see them as sort of a template for what DePaul can become?
Well, I think their program and ours. I try not to compare programs too much, but obviously our program was what it was when we took over as a staff, and I think there's certainly been improvements made. That's our only focus here. I think with Rick, as I mentioned, he's got such a specific style of play that he's coached for a number of years and been so successful with it. And his Louisville national championship team, if I can remember, I think their strength was defense too, and they pressed maybe a little bit more than what his group does. But you knew it was only a matter of time. It's interesting when you look at him. Our teams have usually been their best in the programs I've been in year 3. His teams have taken massive jumps in year 2, and we know that. And I think when I don't want to get too specific about the text without asking him that. What I would just say, it was very gracious, and it was I think. First of all, he called, and I didn't get his call, and then he sent a long text. It was just very gracious, and he was very complimentary of our group and how we play. And that night we weren't very good, so that was a nice text.
Hi, Coach. Final stretch of the season, trying to build a home court. Any message to the fans that just keep showing up here?
Yeah, they've been phenomenal. They've been phenomenal. They really have. And, I think our guys look out there, even like Connor, who's out for the season, and NJ, who's been out for a while. And I know our fans have enjoyed watching those guys play. But our fans have been phenomenal. I was talking about that with Dwayne. They continue to come. I hope they see a fight. That's why we want so hard to play. We want so badly to play well for them. But our fans they continue to show up. We continue to hear them, and they've been consistent with that. And I think our attendance numbers have been up. And with a couple guys down, that are key players for us, it's just really nice to see our fans continue to show up and be there. And we are very appreciative of that as a program and hope to see them on Saturday.
Chris, you mentioned year 3 generally being the year where things kind of click for you and pass stops. Why is that? What is it about that particular season?
It's probably an off-season study for me, to be honest with you. I'm not exactly sure why. It's just at Butler, our third team was the best team. At Ohio State, our third year was the best team numbers wise, and the same thing at my first stop. So listen, if we can get there next year, if we can get there at the end of this year, I'm all for it. You want it to happen as quickly as possible, but there's a lot that goes into that.
Chris, you said the other day you might have some more clarity on NJ's status going forward. Can you provide us an update there?
Yeah, he's going to get evaluated here at the end of this week, and we should know a little bit more then on whether or not it's going to be he can return to play right away, or it's going to be something that could last throughout the end of the season. So he really wants to come back and play, but we're not going to put his hand at any risk of further damage.
And then sometimes when teams are going through a losing drought on the baseball side, you usually see the manager kind of go out there and get tossed to kind of light a spark.
Yeah.
Is that something you would do as a coach, kind of maybe potentially get teed up to potentially light a spark, whether the officials, you thought that they made a good call, but maybe just to kind of light a fire underneath your team?
Yeah. Now, if I get tossed in the next game, don't say that's intentional. Okay. All right. Don't, or I should give you credit for the idea. No, I've gotten tossed a couple times.
I'm not saying get tossed, but just
Yeah.
get teed up.
Oh, okay. All right.
But if you want to get tossed.
Yeah. No, I've gotten, I think tonight, I think the referees were probably closer, maybe as close as they've been all year, because I just didn't, I didn't love a couple calls, but it was a great officiating crew, to be honest with you. I understand the motive behind that. Most of my technicals have come because I've been really angry with the call. And that's generally where my technicals come from. But I understand your point in baseball. It is very much a baseball thing and a basketball thing to some degree.
You talked about, if that third-year jump does happen, what your identity is forming this year. You have completely new players.
Yeah.
And based on the coaching staff you put around you and the players that you've started to build from, what will DePaul basketball, when people think about DePaul basketball, even if they're not fans, what's that identity going to be?
It is a great question. It's probably one that I'll want to wait. But it will be very similar to this year. We're going to be skilled, and we're going to play a wide open style. We need to play a little bit with a little bit more pace, but we're going to play it. We're going to have a skilled group, and obviously, it was, like I said, it was good to see us make 10 threes tonight, but you'll see a competitive group too. But that's probably more, later in the year. It's a great question. Probably more later in the year.
Coach, in the middle of that first half, Jacob Meyer's shoe came off and was off for like 2 minutes, and then you were holding it in the sidelines. What the heck happened there?
I have no idea. I've seen it happen in a lot of games. I just looked and found a shoe right by me, so I picked it up. I didn't even know it was his shoe. He took a three without a shoe, which is fine because he was open. But yeah, I've seen that happen a couple times. You hope that eventually there's going to be a stoppage of play, but that might have been 3 minutes where he was playing shoeless. So let's hope that doesn't happen again. All right, thanks, guys.
Troy, as one of the leaders on this team, Holtmann has praised your ball movement, especially when you're on the floor. The last couple of games you haven't been on the floor, so the offense has kind of looked and saying, how much pride do you take on not necessarily filling up the box score, but being able to kind of set guys up in the right positions and move the ball?
Yeah, I feel like my game has always just been trying to make the right play. I think a big part of that has been Connor out too. He's done a tremendous job all year of getting us open, getting us in the right spots and creating for us. So I think that has played a part in it too.
Isaiah, you guys have, been down a couple players with Connor and NJ and David. Just how much of an adjustment period has it been offensively these past 4 games?
With Connor out, your starting point guard who's been one of the leading assist guys in the country, it's always a tough thing, but we're just going to keep pushing and keep getting better, keep finding ways to be better.
For either of you, obviously the team struggled a little bit from 3 the last couple games, but you guys seem like you found your stroke a little bit today, especially against one of the toughest defenses in the country with St. John's. How does it feel for you guys to kind of get back on track from deep?
It feels good. We put a lot of pride into our work. We work every day, get shots up every day, me and Troy, and just feels good to see a few go in, but we'll keep at it.
Troy, with David and NJ out, obviously he was going to be tough in the interior, but you guys presented some different defensive looks like zone 1-3-1 and stuff like that. What went well there, and what did you like that you maybe want to carry forward with there?
Yeah, I think JJ did a really good job keeping Zuby off the glass in the first half, and when Teo came in the second half, I think he gave us great minutes. I think continuing on, if NJ is going to be out and if David continues to miss time, those two just got to continue to keep stepping up and playing how they did tonight, being physical. And then, me, when I play at the 5 a little bit, I got to step it up, be more physical, and play better defense as well.
Thank you.
Go ahead right there.
Troy, you mentioned runs with Teo today. What have you seen from him and Chris? You've had to, with your lineup stretch, then you've had to go to your younger players, and you saw those 2 guys come in tonight. What did you see from them today?
Yeah, for sure. Being a young guy in college basketball isn't the easiest thing in the world. You got to sit a lot, watch a lot. So, I'm sure they got a lot of things going through their head, but props to them for staying the course, doing what we do, and just waiting for their turn. And I think both of them, in the limited opportunities that they've gotten, they've done great jobs so far this year.
Putting aside the records, when how close or how far do you feel this program is to being on a level with a team like St. John's?
Honestly, I'll say that we're not really trying to compare ourselves to anyone. We're just trying to be the best version of ourselves. That's my honest answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, St. John's, obviously, everybody knows the type of year that they're having and what they've been doing the past couple of years. And I think to compare us to them right now is a little unfair. But I think everybody in our team, in our locker room, is all bought in. I think we're going the right way. And, I mean, we knew it wasn't going to be easy, so we just got to stay the course and keep battling.
For either one of you, this year trying to rebuild with Holtmann and trying to build that home court, how do you guys feel about having such a full student section here tonight on a Wednesday night game?
Yeah, big time, huge. I mean, especially we haven't been having a great year, 2-13, 2-14, whatever it is. And to have the students come here, still showing up every game, still believing in us is huge. And, I mean, it'll come around. If they keep showing up, we'll start winning. Whether it's this year, next year, we'll start winning.
For both of you, as you guys are in your final year of eligibility, the games are kind of counting down. What do you guys want to get out of the rest of this season as you kind of ride off into the sunset?
For me, I just want to lead the younger guys and leave this program better than what I found it. That's really the biggest thing. As you grow up, doing something bigger for yourself brings a lot more joy than just thinking about self goals and obviously taking this place somewhere where it hasn't been in a long time is definitely bigger than myself.